Hello. Hola, mi amigos. Hello. Good morning. How are you doing? Let's put some honey in the water. Here we go. Should move that. I called the show Richmondton today because I'm in Richmond today, and I lived in Edmonton for a few years, and Richmond reminds me of Edmonton in a lot of ways. You know, long highways that go nowhere, flat expanses. It's Edmonton all over again. Anyways, still waiting for my water to boil. Starting to bubble a bit here now. Drinking old Canadian Dry. Canada Dry. If only they sponsored this channel. They'd have to pay me. So I'm loading up on coffee and carbonated beverage. It's taking forever. We're almost there though. Okay, I put my first batch in. Hello, welcome. Yeah, I do. Even on my days off, I get up early. I wake up on the days I work, I wake up at 3. But on my days off, I usually wake up about 4, I don't know, 5 or 6, I guess. I try to get 7 hours of sleep every night. Yeah. I find that consistency is really healthy. I feel really good most days. When I get the same amount of sleep every night, makes a difference. So I'm just waiting for my first batch here. Control my organism. Yeah, I don't I don't drink often. I do drink occasionally, but I don't drink on a daily. I don't drink daily. If I did, that would ruin my day, though. I'm sure. Alcohol's so bad. Nice, I love the accordion. I don't know how to play the accordion, but I think my brother has I think my parents own an accordion. My my grandfather used to play it, I think, on my dad's side. My grandmother played piano. Yeah, I'm just waiting for my bagels here. They're taking forever. Forever. Man, there's a Starbucks out here, and there's just a lineup of vehicles. No, thank you. How many different people we have on Earth? Very much. Better get bacon here. Bacon. I'm going to make bagels. Montreal style bagels, Vancouver style. Montreal bagels, Vancouver style. Whatever that means. Hamlin Towns in Brunswick, my famous Hanover city. The river Weser, deep and wide, washes its wall on the southern side. A pleasanter spot you've never spied. And when begins my ditty, almost 500 years ago, to see the townsfolk suffer so, from vermin was a pity. Rats, they fought the dogs and killed the cats and bit the babies in the cradles and ate the cheeses from the vats and licked the soup from the cook's own ladles, split open the kegs of salted sprats, made nests in the men's Sunday hats, and even spoiled the women's chats by drowning out their speaking with shrieking and squeaking in 50 different sharps and flats. At last the people in a body to the town hall came flocking. "'Tis clear," cried they, "our mayor is a naughty, and as for our corporation, shocking, to think we buy gowns lined with ermine, for dolts who can't or won't determine what's best to rid us of our vermin. You hope because you're old and obese to find in the furry civic robes ease. Rouse up, sirs, give your brains a racking, to find the remedy we are lacking, or sure as fate will send you packing." At this, the mayor and corporation quaked with a mighty consternation. An hour they sat in council. At length the mayor broke silence. For a gilder eyed my ermine gown sell. I wish I were a mile hence. It's easy to bid one rack on brain. I'm sure my poor head aches again. I scratch it so, but all in vain. Oh, for a trap, a trap, a trap. Just as he said this, what should hap? At the chamber door, but a gentle tap. Bless us, cried the mayor. What's that? With the corporation as he sat, looking little through wondrous fat. Nor brighter were his eyes, nor moister, than a too-long opened oyster, save what it knew his posture muteness, or plain turtle green and glutinous. Only a scraping of shoes on a mat, anything like the sound of a rap makes my heart go pit-a-pat. Come in, cried the mayor, looking bigger, and in did come the strangest figure, whose long queer coat from heel to head was half yellow and half red, and he himself was tall and thin, with sharp blue eyes each like a pin, and light loose hair and swarthy skin, nor tuft of hair on cheek nor beard on chin. The lift or smile went out and in, there was no guessing his kith or kin, and nobody could enough admire this tall man in his quaint attire. Quoth one, it's as my great-grandsire, starting up at the trump of doom's tone, had walked this way from his painted tombstone. He advanced towards the council table, and please, your honor, said he, I am able, by means of secret charm, to draw all the creatures living beneath the sun, that crawl or swim or fly or run, after me so as you never saw. And I chiefly use my charm on creatures that do people harm, the mole and toad and newt and viper, and people call me the Pied Piper. And here they noticed round his neck a scarf of red and yellow stripe, to match with his coat the self-same check, and at scarf's end hung a pipe, and his fingers they noticed were ever straying, as if impatient to be playing upon this pipe, as low it dangled over his vesture so old-fangled. Yes, said he, Pied Piper as I am, in Tartary I fled the Cam, last June from his huge swarms of gnats. I eased an Asian and Nizam of a monstrous brood of vampire bats. And as for what your brain bewilders, if I rid your town of rats, will you give me 1,000 guilders? 50,000 was the exclamation of an astonished mayor and corporation. Into the street the piper stepped, smiling first a little smile, as if he knew what magic slept in his quiet pipe a while. Like a musical death blown his pipe, his lips he wrinkled, and green and blue his sharp eyes twinkled, like a candle flame where salt is sprinkled. And ere 3 shrill notes the pipe muttered, you heard as if an army muttered, and a muttering grew to a grumbling, and a grumbling grew to a mighty rumbling, and out of the houses came the rats tumbling, great rats, small rats, lean rats, brawny rats, brown rats, black rats, gray rats, tawny rats, brave old potters, gay young friskers, fathers, mothers, uncles, cousins, cocking tails and pricking whiskers, families by tens and dozens, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, followed the Pied Piper for their lives. From street to street he piped advancing, and step for step they followed dancing, until they came to the river Weser, wherein all plunged and perished, save one who stout as Julius Caesar, swam across and lived to carry, as he the manuscript he cherished, to Ratland home his commentary, which was, at first shrill notes of the pipe, I heard a sound as of scraping tripe, and putting apples wondrous ripe into the cider presses bright, and moving away pickle tub boards, and leaving a jar of concert cupboards, and drawing the corks of train oil flasks, and a breaking hoops of butter casks, and it seemed as if a voice sweeter far than my harper by Solery's breed called out, "O rats, rejoice! The world is grown to a vast dry saltery. So munch on, crunch on, take your nunch on, breakfast, supper, dinner, lunch on, and just a bulky sugar punch on, already staved like a great sun shone. Gracious scarce an inch before me, just as me thought it said come for me, I found the Weser rolling over me. You should have heard the Hamlin people ring the bells as they rock the steeple. Go, cried the mayor, get long poles, poke out the nest and block up the holes. Consult with carpenters and builders, and leave in our town not even a trace of the rats. When suddenly up the face of the pipe perked in the marketplace. The first, if you please, 1,000 guilders. 1,000 guilders. The mayor looked blue, so did the corporation too. For council dinners made rare havoc, with Claret, Moselle, Vin de Gras, Hawk, and half the money would replenish their son as big as bud of Rhenish, to pay the sum to a wondering fellow, with gypsy coat of red and yellow. Besides, quoth the mayor with a knowing wink, our business was down at the river's brink. We saw with our eyes vermin sink, and what's dead can't come to life, I think. So, friend, we're not folks to shrink from our duty of giving you something to drink, and a matter of money to put in your poke. But as for the guilders, what we spoke of them, as you well know, was in joke. Besides, our losses have made us thrifty. 1,000 guilders, come, take 50. The piper's face fell, and he cried, no trifling, I can't wait beside. I promise to visit by dinner time Baghdad, accept the prime of the head cook's potage, All he's rich in, for having left in the Caleb's kitchen of a nest of scorpions, no survivor. With him I prove no bargain driver. With you don't think I'll bait a stiver. And folks who put me in a passion may find me pipe after another fashion. How, cried the mayor, do you think I brook, being worse treated than a cook, insulted by a ribald, with idle pipe and vesture piebald? Threaten us, fellow, do your worst, blow your pipe there till you burst. Once more he stepped into the street, and to his lips again laid his long pipe of smooth straight cane, and ere he blew 3 notes, such sweet soft notes as yet musicians cunning never gave the enraptured air. There was a rustling that seemed like a bustling of merry crowds justling, a pitching and hustling. Small feet were pattering, wooden shoes clattering, little hands clapping, little tongues chattering, bowls in the farmyard of barley a scattering. Out came the children running, all the little boys and girls, with rosy cheeks and flaxen curls, and sparkling eyes and teeth like pearls, tripping and skipping right merrily after. Wonderful music with shouting and laughter. The mayor was dumb, and the council stood, as if they're changed into blocks of wood, unable to move a step or cry, to the children merrily skipping by, could only follow with an eye that joyous crowd at the piper's back, and how the mayor was on the rack, and the wretched council's bosoms beat, as the pipe returned from the high street, to where the Wessel rolled its waters, right in the way of their sons and daughters. How it returned from south to west, and to Copperherd Hill his steps addressed, and after him the children pressed, great was the joy in every breast. He never crossed the mighty top, he's forced to let the piping drop, and we shall see our children stop. When lo, they reached the mountainside, a wondrous portal opened wide, as if a cavern was suddenly hollowed. The piper advanced and the children followed. When all were in to the very last, the door in the mountainside shut fast. Did I say all? No, one was lame, and could not dance a whole of the way. In and after years, if you blame his sadness, he was used to say, "This dull in our towns as my playmates left, I can't forget that I'm bereft of all the pleasant sights they see, which the piper also promised me. For he led us, he said, to a joyous land, joining the town in just at hand, where waters gushed and fruit trees grew, and flowers before prepared for view, and everything was strange and new. The sparrow has buried her peacock here, their dogs outran our fellow deer, and honeybees had lost their stings, and horses were born with eagle's wings. And just as I became assured, my lame folk would be speedily cured, the music stopped, and I stood still, and found myself outside the hill, left behind against my will, to go down limping as before, and never hear of that country more. Alas, alas, for Hamelin, there came into many a burgher's pate a text which says that heaven's gate opes to the rich at as easy rate as the needle's eye takes a camel in. The mayor said, north and south, offered the piper by word of mouth, wherever was men's lot to find them, silver and gold to his heart's content, if only he'd return the way he went, and bring the children behind him. But when they saw 'twas lost endeavor, and piper and dancers were gone forever, they made a decree that lawyers never should think their records dated duly, if after the day of the month and year these words do not as well appear. And so long after what happened here, on the 22nd of July, 1376, and the better in memory to fix the place of the children's last retreat, they called it the Pied Piper Street, where anyone playing pipe or tabor was sure for his future lose his labor, nor suffered they hostelry or tavern, shocked with mirth the street so solemn, and opposite the place of the cavern, they wrote the story on a column, and on great church window painted, the same to make the world acquainted, how their children were stolen away, and there it stands this very day. And I must not admit to say, in Transylvania there is a tribe of alien people who ascribe the way and dress of which their neighbors lay such stress, to their fathers and mothers having risen out of some subterranean prison, into which they were trepanned a long time ago in a mighty band, out of Hamlin towns and Brunswick land, but how or why they don't understand. So, Lily, let me and you be wipers of scores out with all men, especially pipers. And if they should pipe us free from rats or mice, if we promise them aught, let us keep our promise. Good morning. Welcome to the stream. I'm just going on to my second batch here. Just going to take it out of the pot in a minute here. Hello, everybody. What's going on? This is my second batch this morning. So these are going to be everything bagels. Ethan Klein. No, I've never heard of Ethan Klein. Who is Ethan Klein? Tell me more. I'll look up the name later. That bagel's not gonna make it. That bagel is not gonna make it. A famous chef. Okay, I'll check him out. Cool. Thanks for telling me about him. Yeah, I'll look up Ethan Klein. That sounds interesting. I'll check him out. I know I watch a lot of Twitch streamers, so that seems to be my predominant watching habit right now is Twitch. Anything on Twitch. Yeah. My first thought was he lied in every word, that hoary cripple with malicious eye, asking to watch the working of his lot on mine, and mouth scarce able to afford suppression of the glee that person scored its edge at one more victim gained thereby. What else should he be set for with his staff? What saved a waylay with his lies and snare all travelers who might find him posted there? And asked the rogue, I guessed what skull-like laugh would break, what crutch can write my epitaph for pastime in the dusty thoroughfare. If at his counsel I should turn aside into ominous track which all agree hides the dark power, yet acquiescingly I did turn as he pointed, neither pride nor hope rekindling at the end descried, so much as gladness some end my feed. For what with my whole world wide wondering, what with my search drawn out through years, my hope dwindled into a ghost not fit to cope with that obstreperous joy success would bring. I hardly tried now to rebuke the spring my heart made, finding failure in its scope. As a sick man very near to death seems dead indeed, and feels begin and end the tears, and takes the farewell of each friend, and hears one bid the other go, draw breath freely outside, since all is over, he saith, and the blow fallen no grieving can amend. While some discuss here other graves be room enough for this, and when a day suits best for carrying the corpse away, with care about banners, scarfs, and staves, and still the man hears all and only craves, he may not shame such tender love and stay. Thus I had for so long suffered in this quest, heard failure prophesied so oft been writ, so many times among the band to wit, the knights who true dark towers search and dress their steps, that just to fail as they seem best, and all doubtless now should I be fit. So quiet as despair had turned from him, that hateful cripple, out of his highway into the path he pointed. All the day had been a dreary one at best, and dim was settling into its close, yet shot one grim red leer to see the plain catch its spray. For mark, no sooner was I fairly found, pledged to the plain after a pace or two, then pausing throw backward a last view. Over the safe road 'twas gone, grey plain all round, nothing but plain to the horizon's bound. I must go on, naught else remained to do. So on I went. I think I never saw such starved ignoble nature. Nothing throve, for flowers as well expect a cedar grove. But chortle and spurge, according to their law, might propagate their kind with none to awe. You'd think a burr had been a treasure trove. No penury, inertness, and grimace, in some strange sort were the land's portion. See or close your eyes, said nature peevishly, it nothing skills, I can't help my case. 'Tis last judgment fire must cure this place, calcine its clods and set my prisoners free. If there pushed any ragged thistle stalk above its mates, its head was chopped. The bents were jealous else, what made the holes and rents in the dock's harsh shores leaves, bruised as to balk all hope of greenness. 'Tis a brute must walk, pashing their life o' with the brute's intents. As for the grass, it grew as scarce as hair in leprosy. Thin, dry blades pricked the mud, which underneath looked kneaded up with blood. One stiff, blind horse, as every boneless stare, stood stupefied however he came there, thrust out past service from the devil's stud. Alive, he might be dead for aught I know, with red, gaunt, and callop neck astrain, and shut eyes beneath the rusty mane. Seldom went such grotesqueness with such woe. I never saw a brute I hated so. He must have been wicked to deserve such shame. I shut my eyes and turned them on my heart. As a man calls for wine before he fights, I asked one draught of earlier, happier sights. Ere fitly I could hope to play the part. Think first, fight afterwards, the soldier's art. One taste of old times, that's all to rights. Not it. I fancied Cuthbert's reddening face beneath its garniture of curly gold. Dear fellow, till I almost felt him fold an arm and mind to fix me to that place. That way he used, alas, one night's disgrace. Oh, at my heart's new fire and left it cold. Giles then, the soul of honor, there he stands, frank as 10 years ago when knighted first. An honest man should dare, he said he durst. Good, but the scene shifts. Faw, what hangman's hand pinned to his breast a parchment. His own band reads it. Poor traitor spit upon and cursed. Better this present than a past like that. Back therefore to my darkening path. No sound, no sight as far as the eye can strain. Will the night send a howler or a bat, I asked, when something on the dismal flat came to arrest my thoughts and change their train. A sudden little river crossed my path, as unexpected as a serpent came. No tides congenial through the glooms. This as it fraught by might have been a bath for the fiend's glowing hoof, to see the wrath of its black eddies and spat with flakes and spoons. so petty yet so spiteful. All along low scrubby alders kneeled over it. Drenched willows flung them headlong in a fit of rope despair. A suicidal throng, the river which had done them all the wrong, whatever that was, rolled by, deterred no whit. Which while I forded, good saints, how I feared to set my foot upon a dead man's cheek. Each step or feel the spear I thrust to seek, for hollows tangled in his hair or beard. It may have been a water rat I speared, but ugh, it sounded like a baby's shriek. Glad was I to reach other bank, now for a better country, vain presage. Who are the strugglers? What war did they wage? Whose savage trample could thus pad the dank soil to a plash? Toads in a poisoned tank, or wild cats in a red-hot cage. And more than that, a furlong on, why there, the fight must so exceed in that foul sir. What penned them there with all the plain to choose? No footsteps leading to that horrid muse. Now and out of it, mad druids set to work their brains, no doubt, like galley slaves of Turk, pits for his pastime, Christians against Jews. More than that, a furlong on, why there? What bad use was that engine for? That wheel or brake, not wheel, that arrow fit to reel men's bodies out like silk. With all the air of Tophet's tool, on earth left unaware, brought to sharpen its rusty teeth of steel. Then came some stub ground, once a wood, next a marsh it would seem, now mere earth, desperate and done was, so the fool finds mirth, makes a thing and mars it, till his mood changes, and off he goes, within a rude bog, clay and marsh, sand and stark black dearth. Now blotches rankling color gay and grim, now patches where some leanness of the soils broke into moss or substances like boils. Then came a palsied oak, a cleft in him, a distorted mouth that splits its rim, gaping at death and dies while it recoils. As far as ever from the end, not in the distance but the evening not, to point my footsteps further at the thought, great black bird, Apollyon's bosom's friend, sailed past Morbida's wide wings, dragon-penned, the brushed my cap perchance the guide I sought. But looking up where I somehow grew, the plain had given place all round, the mountains with such names to grace, here heights and deeps now stolen a view. How thus they surprised me, solving you, how to get from there was no clear case. Yet half I seemed to recognize the trick of mischief happened to me, God knows when, in a bad dream perhaps, here ended dead progress this way, when in the very nick of giving up one more time, came a click as when the trap shuts you're in the den. Burningly it came upon me all at once. This was the place. Those two hills to the right crouched like two bulls locked horn in fight, while to the left a tall scout mountain, dunce, doddered, dozing at the very nunch, after a lifetime of training for the sight. What in the midst lay but the tower itself, the round squat turret, blind as a fool's heart, built of brown stone without a counterpart in the whole world. The tempest mocking elf points to the shipman thus, the unseen shelf he strikes on only when timbers start. Not sea, because of night perhaps, why day came back for that. Behind it left a dying sunset, kindled to a cleft. The hills like two giants in the hunting lay, chin upon hand to see the game at bay, now stab and end the creature to the heft. Not here when noise was everywhere it told, increasing like a bell, names in my ears, of lost adventurers my peers, how such was strong and such was bold, and such was fortunate, yet each of old, lost one moment, now the woe of years. There they stood, ranged along the hillside met, to view the last of me, a living frame, for one more picture in a sheet of flame. I saw them and knew them all, and yet, dauntless a slughorn to my lips I set and blew, child Roland to a dark tower came. Sorry I missed all those comments. I find it hard to read and recite poetry at the same time. Sorry, I don't read that language. Sorry. Unfortunately, do not know what you're saying. No, not. I'm baking bagels. I'm baking bagels. Yeah, you could probably do a pretty good barbecue in here, actually. It is very nice wood. It's mahogany. I try to save it because my friend's a carpenter, and he's been making cutting boards out of the worn out boards, I guess you'd say. I'm making bagels. Vancouver style bagels. Vancouver. I've already started. I have 3 batches in the oven right now. That's 90 bagels. And then I have a batch in the pot, which would make 120 bagels. I'm gonna do this quickly because I got to take out a batch right now. Salty donut? Yeah, I guess you could call it that. It's a bready donut. It's a savory donut. No, donuts and bagels are pretty different. Donuts are deep fried for one thing, I believe, where most bagels or most donuts are, anyways. Bagels are boiled and baked. A donut is not boiled and baked. Donut is deep fried. Oh, okay. Yeah, Donuts are deep fried, so. Almost lost one there. I'm gonna fire a little bit too high. This is a gimped bagel. You have to throw this one out. You can play with it a bit for a little while. Look at that. You can play for a bit. Until it falls apart. Oh. Bye-bye, bagel. So I missed that. Well, I think that's all for today. I'll take out one more batch for you here. And, I guess shut down the stream. Almost done.